The paradox of kindness: why virtue is often mistaken for weakness. In an ideal world, kindness would be celebrated as one of the highest virtues, and those who embody it would be admired and respected. Yet, in reality, kindness is often taken for granted or even seen as a weakness. People may interpret a kind person as someone easily manipulated or lacking in assertiveness, while those who exhibit cruelty or ruthlessness often command fear and, paradoxically, a kind of respect. This dynamic reveals a troubling truth: in many societies, vice, especially when it manifests as power or domination, is often celebrated more than virtue. This misunderstanding of kindness reflects a deeper issue with how we perceive strength, authority, and respect. Understanding why this paradox exists requires examining human psychology, historical patterns, and the way modern culture tends to reward vice over virtue. While kindness is essential for building healthy relationships and societies, it is frequently undervalued or misinterpreted, and cruelty is falsely equated with strength. If we wish to create a more just and compassionate world, it's crucial to re-evaluate how we perceive and reward these traits. One reason kindness is often mistaken for weakness is the human tendency to equate dominance with power. People who are cruel or unkind frequently wield their cruelty as a tool of control, using fear to establish authority over others. In contrast, kindness is seen as yielding or deferential, lacking the sharp edges that command fear or obedience. This perception is rooted in a misunderstanding of what true strength is. In his book Give and Take, organizational psychologist Adam Grant explores how people who are kind, or givers, often struggle in competitive environments, where takers, those who seek to dominate or exploit others, seem to rise to the top. However, Grant's research shows that givers, those who lead with generosity and empathy, often achieve long-term success and build stronger, more sustainable relationships. This suggests that while kindness may not yield immediate rewards, it is far from a weakness. Rather, it is a strength that fosters trust and cooperation. Moreover, psychological studies suggest that people often conflate aggression with competence. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people tend to associate assertive, aggressive behavior with leadership qualities, even when that behavior is counterproductive. This explains why cruelty or ruthlessness can often be misinterpreted as a sign of power or authority, while kindness is wrongly seen as passive or ineffective. Throughout history, many societies have celebrated vice, especially in the form of power, dominance, and control, while undervaluing or sidelining virtue. This pattern can be seen in the way some of the most ruthless leaders in history have been feared and respected, even as they inflicted great harm. Consider Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince, a political treatise that famously argues it is better to be feared than loved for those in positions of power. Machiavelli's work has been interpreted as a defense of cruelty and manipulation as effective tools for maintaining power. Although his writing is more nuanced than this single phrase suggests, the idea that fear commands respect has persisted for centuries. Leaders who are ruthless, who demonstrate an ability to dominate others, are often admired for their strength, even when their methods involve cruelty. Take, for instance, the case of Joseph Stalin. During his reign over the Soviet Union, Stalin was responsible for the deaths of millions through purges, forced labor camps, and famines. Yet, for much of his rule, Stalin was feared and respected both within his country and abroad. His cruelty was seen by many as a necessary show of power to maintain control. The fear he commanded reinforced his authority, but at the expense of countless lives and the degradation of human dignity. In contrast, leaders known for their kindness or non-violence, such as Mahatma Gandhi, are often admired only in hindsight. Gandhi's commitment to non-violence and kindness as political tools was initially seen by some as naive or weak. Yet, his approach ultimately led to the liberation of India from British colonial rule, demonstrating that true strength lies in resilience, compassion, and moral conviction, not in cruelty or domination. In contemporary society, the celebration of vice is reflected in various cultural narratives, particularly in media and business. Pop culture often glorifies anti-heroes, characters who operate outside the bounds of conventional morality but are admired for their cunning, ruthlessness, or ability to manipulate others. Figures like Tony Soprano from The Sopranos or Walter White from Breaking Bad become icons, not because of their kindness, but because of their ability to navigate a brutal world through violence or deception. In the business world, this phenomenon is echoed in the veneration of ruthless corporate leaders. Figures like Steve Jobs, who was known for his abrasive management style, are celebrated for their success, while the negative impact of their behavior on employees and colleagues is downplayed. While Jobs' visionary leadership was undoubtedly transformative, the focus on his ruthless pursuit of perfection reinforces the idea that cruelty and dominance are necessary for success, even when it comes at a human cost. This cultural glorification of vice creates a feedback loop where kindness is further undervalued. Those who lead with compassion, empathy, and understanding are often seen as unfit for competitive environments. Yet, numerous studies show that companies with empathetic leaders tend to have higher employee satisfaction, lower turnover, and better long-term success. A 2016 study by the Harvard Business Review found that leaders who show empathy and support for their employees foster more innovative and productive workplaces. These findings suggest that the perceived weakness of kindness is, in fact, a misunderstanding of its real power. Kindness, far from being a weakness, requires immense strength. It takes courage to be kind in a world that often rewards aggression and domination. Kindness involves vulnerability, patience, and the ability to see the humanity in others, even in those who may oppose us. It fosters trust, builds strong communities, and promotes a sense of shared purpose. A poignant example of the power of kindness can be found in the story of Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison for his fight against apartheid, Mandela emerged not with vengeance but with a spirit of reconciliation. His kindness and forgiveness toward his former oppressors became the foundation for South Africa's peaceful transition to democracy. Mandela's leadership demonstrated that kindness is not about passivity or weakness, but about the ability to rise above cruelty and hatred to forge a better future. In everyday life, kindness is what builds strong, lasting relationships. It is the foundation of healthy communities and societies. Research consistently shows that people who practice kindness experience better mental and physical health, lower stress levels, and greater overall life satisfaction. Acts of kindness, whether small or large, create a ripple effect that improves not only the lives of others but also the well-being of the person offering the kindness. The mistaken belief that kindness is weakness stems from a misunderstanding of what true strength entails. Cruelty may command fear, but fear does not build trust, loyalty, or meaningful connections. Kindness, on the other hand, requires vulnerability and courage. It fosters the kind of strength that leads to lasting success, both in personal relationships and in society at large. If we want to create a world where virtue is celebrated more than vice, we must reframe how we view kindness. It is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful force for good. Those who lead with kindness, compassion, and empathy are the ones who truly change the world for the better, even if their contributions are not immediately recognized. As the Dalai Lama once said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." We must recognize that kindness, far from being a liability, is the real strength that sustains humanity.